Yo, this Big Illinois 73, host of the Backyard Podcast, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Built for This network. Check us out. Hosted by yours truly, with my panel, my fam. We got the sister Kim Webb, the brother Dre MC1, the brother Anuliel, and the brother H-Rap B. No topic is off limit. We laugh and joke. We get serious. Try to be informative. Check us out. Once again, that's the Backyard Podcast, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Let's go.
It's your boy D Greatest from South Central. Tune in on Sunday for Sunday Night Love Jones, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And on Mondays for Monday Night Love Jones, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for good music, good conversation, and good vibes. It's all about the love. Yeah, man.
Throughout the years, the way the game of basketball is played has been changing. In the late 1970s, the three-point shot was introduced, which was the beginning of the shot that would define the NBA decades later. Throughout the 80s, there was lots of exciting fast-break basketball that was often countered with extremely physical defense. Based on the way defense was played, based on the rules of the league at the time, and based on the priorities of the teams, much fewer three-point shots were taken during that era. In the 80s, teams were shooting an average of anywhere between just 2 and 6 three-point shots a game. Throughout the 90s, the number of threes increased a bit to anywhere from 7 to 16 three-pointers a game. Although the volume of three-point shots increased, offenses were still primarily focused on feeding the big men down low and the art of mid-range basketball. The pace of the game was slower at this point, but this was arguably the most entertaining period of basketball because there was so much variety to the way offense was played in this decade. You had players who tried to beat you with solid footwork amidst mid-range basketball, Michael Jordan being the ultimate example of this. You had skilled players like Hakeem Olajuwon, who even as a big man, used his size, finesse, and remarkable footwork to be one of the best scorers in the game. Then you had a center like Shaquille O'Neal, who simply tried to bully you and overpower you. On top of this, you had shooters like Reggie Miller and Allen Houston, who kept the floor spread and who were unique threats from distance. You had guys like John Stockton, who weren't even looking to shoot, but simply facilitate an offense. Charles Barkley, who wasn't a reliable perimeter shooter, but loved to play with his back to the basket and bully players often that were bigger than him. Then you had slashers like Shawn Kemp and Dominique Wilkins, who simply assaulted the rim in such a way that you'd swear the rim insulted their families. This was the rich and diverse NBA of the 90s that had so many different styles and different formulas of elite offenses. Now, this is the NBA of our modern day.
Griffin, fake the pass. LeBron for the tie. For NBA history. Irving for three. Luka with the step back three. Russell three.
Steph hiding behind Jordan.
Bellinelli. Why not?
Eric Gordon. A lot of people say, well, that step back is a walk, but the referees say it isn't. And there's Harden with another ball.
It's no secret that the NBA is all about three-point shooting now. NBA teams are now shooting an astonishingly high 34 three-pointers per game. About 38% of the shots each game are three-point attempts. If the NBA continues on the trajectory it's on, within the next few years, half the shots in every game will be three-point attempts. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, it doesn't matter if you're a point guard, a power forward, or a center. No matter who you are on the floor, you're expected to shoot threes to be successful. It's led some to call this era the era of positionless basketball. Why is it called positionless basketball, you ask? Well, to be frank, it's because everyone looks the freaking same. You've got 6-foot guards hoisting transition threes, and you've got 7-foot, 250-pound centers hoisting transition threes. Players who typically can't shoot threes are now given standing ovations when they finally hit a three, because in this NBA, everyone is expected to shoot them. The Ben Simmons first three-pointer excitement would have never happened in the 90s because no one would have cared if he could make a three or not, because his talent in the 90s would have still been recognized even without the three ball. Now, if you can't make a three like everyone else and you don't play like everyone else, you're seen as a liability. The variety to the game is gone. The beauty of 90s basketball is all but a distant memory at this point. So why is this happening? Well, there's several reasons. For one, the NBA rules have allowed the game to evolve to this point. In 2004, the NBA outlawed hand-checking by the players, meaning that defensive players used to be allowed to put their hands or forearms on the offensive player. You could use this advantage to crowd the player or even steer the offensive player in the direction you wanted him to go. You can imagine how much this affects the spacing on the floor and how much more difficult this makes it for a player to dribble and shoot on the perimeter. Now, as the defensive player, you can't crowd him and you can't put a hand on him, so if he wants to dribble around and take all the time he wants to create space for a good look, you kind of just have to let him and live with the result. But arguably, the biggest reason more three-pointers are shot today is because of the rise of NBA analytics. Shooting more three-pointers is just smarter, which equals more points, which equals more victories. If a team only shot three-pointers for an entire game and shot 40% from that range, the opposing team would have to shoot 60% from two-point range just to equal that offensive production. The thing is, very few players shoot 60% from two-point range, but a lot of players can shoot 40+% from three-point range. The three-pointer is simply the more valuable shot, and the team that utilizes it more will more than likely be the team that ends up winning the game. This isn't just a complaint of basketball players of the past who are disconnected from the modern game, but even modern NBA players and coaches have voiced these same complaints. Kevin Durant is among the players who have echoed these thoughts, and even Greg Popovich has spoken strongly against this style of modern basketball. In an interview that took place less than a year ago, this is what Popovich had to say about the game today. The inside game is kaput. You've got to have downhill players, you've got to have people who can penetrate and kick, you've got to have people who can switch, you've got to have big guys who can play little guys. There's no basketball anymore, there's no beauty in it. It's pretty boring, but it is what it is, and you need to work with it. These days, there's such an emphasis on the three because it's proven to be analytically correct. Now you look at a stat sheet after a game, and the first thing you look at is the threes. If you made threes and the other team didn't, you win. You don't look at the rebounds or the turnovers or how much transition D was involved. You don't even care. That's how much of an impact the three-point shot has, and it's evidenced by how everybody plays. I hate it. I always have. Now I want you to grasp that this is a coach who's used this modern style of play and benefited off of this modern style of play. He's won championships by taking advantage of analytics and the three ball. When even the greatest and most successful coach of this generation of basketball has to admit that this generation of basketball is boring and that he hates it, well then you know you have a problem. The NBA needs a solution badly. But before I suggest my solution, let me tell you what is not the solution: a 4-point line. The NBA has publicly flirted with the idea of adding a 4-point line, which is an idea that's gaining lots of traction that some teams are already preparing for. Let me be straightforward here. Not only is this not the solution, this is literally the worst adjustment you could possibly make. Please, NBA, don't do this. If you think NBA highlights are boring now, when three-pointers have made it basically just a jump shot compilation, how is adding a 4-point line going to fix that? When you understand that 60% of twos is worth the same as 40% of threes and how that's changed the game, imagine how the game will be impacted when 50% of twos are worth the same as 25% of fours. The game will become the most boring, jump shooting, overloaded style that it's ever been. At that point, even layup and dunk attempts will be considered inefficient shots because of the overpowering value of the 4-pointer. That is an NBA I hope I never see. If you really want a solution, here is my idea, and let me know what you guys think of it in the comments section. If you guys really want the NBA to be as entertaining as it once was, extend the 3-point line. By extending the 3-point line by a few feet, the overall percentages of 3-pointers will go down league-wide. A less efficient 3-point shot means the value of the 3 decreases, which naturally increases the value of the 2-point shot. You would see mid-range basketball and post-play make a comeback. You will see less tall and gangly centers and power forwards who are always thinking about shooting, and instead you'll see a resurgence of strong, physical big men who crash the boards and score in the paint. It's tough to say how far the NBA should extend the 3. It's currently 23 feet 9 inches at the top of the arc. You could move that to 26 or 27 feet. Whatever is enough to decrease percentages to the point where the 2 becomes valuable again. They could run experiments with it in the G League and see how that affects the game. A deeper 3-point line would mean players like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young would have an even greater value, which I'm for. If you can consistently hit jumpers from 30 feet like they can, you should stand out because of it. This change and new challenge would spark excitement amongst NBA fans and rejuvenate a lot of old school NBA fans who miss the days of more diverse basketball. The tricky part is, what do you do about the corner threes? The 3-point line on the corners is 22 feet, but you only have 3 feet of space between the 3-point line and the out of bounds line, so extending the 3 on the corners isn't really an option. I'm open to ideas, but there's several ways you could handle this issue. 1, you could just keep the 3-point corners at 22 feet, and it would then easily be the most valuable and sought-after shot in basketball. 2, you could just eliminate quarter threes and have the arc head straight out of bounds on both wings. Or 3, you could eliminate corner threes, but have a zone for corner 3-pointers that's only in effect during certain time frames. For example, like the final 2 minutes of each quarter. I understand any of this would be a big change, but it's something the league is hurting for, and the NBA has never been afraid to make drastic changes to improve its product. Let me know in the comments section if you agree that this is the way to fix the NBA's jump shooting problem. Make sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.